Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. It is October, well, it's October 2nd, but I'm calling it October 1st on my recording because I'm off a day because I got the migraines last week. So anyway, it's the day after the debate, and that's all that matters. And I'm going to do a long podcast today because I actually did a lot of the work on the blog, and I'll share that with you and take you through it. But I knew yesterday's debate was going to be good in terms of there'd actually be words and things said, and it would be decent human beings talking to one another. That part was good. I have to say. The part that I didn't expect, took a deep breath there. I'm still having like a little of the holdover today. Like it's almost like an aura of a migraine, if you know what that's like. But today I have a little holdover from the debate because I did not know. I've never heard JD Vance speak like he spoke yesterday. I've heard him sound like basically an asshat out in the world saying really misogynistic and terrible things and things that don't make sense and things from his childhood and things from his young adulthood and his path to being honestly like the supreme leader, because he is, boy, is he good. He is, I can see why Peter Thiel and Elon Musk picked him. The man can wear a suit. He doesn't look like a creep, not the same way Elon and Peter look. They look like white, greasy, really, really almost translucent. There was a word that Anne Rice used to always, preternatural. Anne Rice's favorite word. I swear to God, if you've ever read any interviews with any vampires, I had to stop reading Anne Rice because the word preternatural came up all the time. And I think I must have been kind of young when I read that, because that was like we were reading Anne Rice when we were teenagers, right? That was the thing. Interview with the Vampire, Lestat. Oh my God, I'm remembering it all. Okay, that's not what we're here for. Sorry, just having a little bit of a memory there. So the point is that I expected, I think JD Vance is like almost preternaturally white, just like Peter and Elon, but he doesn't look creepy. Caveat. For a lot of people, he doesn't look creepy. That's probably the caveat. Because for women like me, who first was given, who was birthed by a lawyer, well, a lawyer's wife, but my dad was a lawyer, and I am a lot like him. I would have been a lawyer except I chose marketing. That's how much I like words, how well I like messaging, how I like to influence people. That part, I like that. That's fun. It's why I do this, because I just like talking to people about things and having you guys talk back. That's cool. So, but lawyers are, they don't like conversation. Lawyers like arguments, and lawyers like to shut you down. Like my dad said, don't ever, if you sign a contract that says you can't sue, don't worry about it. You can always sue. That was my dad. That's what he learned at Bolt Law School at Berkeley. Like you can sue whoever you want, which in America is totally true. Now, whether you're going to have success or not is another story. But the thing is that lawyers are everywhere. We're filthy with them. That's probably the downside to capitalism, is all the lawyers, because they litigate everything and they slow down progress and they hamper regulations and they hamper good things with their not annoying lawsuits. And then annoying people can sue you, which is just another thing that shouldn't be allowed to happen just because they want to ruffle your feathers and bankrupt you. Probably there's two things in this country that can bankrupt you super fast. One is lawyers, any kind of legal problem, and the other is healthcare, and they can bankrupt the hell out of you. And so, and lawyers is really different than healthcare if they come for you, because that's private and civil, and it's dangerous. So let me go back. Okay, now we've talked about lawyers. All you need to know about lawyers. But the thing is, JD Vance is such a lawyer, and he has a way of speaking that for me, I didn't realize it till about an hour in. I was like having a hard time listening, and I realized it was that I was getting triggered. And we're going to gently use the word triggered, because what it essentially means is it created a physiological and emotional response that I couldn't control and I didn't expect. So the way JD Vance speaks is incredibly condescending and also contemptuous. He has contempt for most of us. That he sees himself as not being like us. It's interesting. Even when he talks about his wife, he kind of puts her up on a unique pedestal. I don't know if you noticed that, but she almost lives in a baby box. You know, those plastic boxes that you keep your new with Hag Beanie Babies in to keep them perfect. Well, he almost puts Usha in that little box, right? She's not an immigrant. She's not a person of color. She's my wife, and she's very educated. And what I loved about the part that he said is he goes, Usha has a lot of help in her role as a working mother. And that was his, but she still works, but she has a lot of help. And I'm like, you asshole, they're your kids. She doesn't get help. You get help. The family gets help. This isn't about, it's not her job. It's not her job. I swear to God, I can't stand this. I cannot stand how women wake up every day and think it's their job to work from sun up to sundown, taking care of everybody and putting themselves last. And I've had it with you women. I want you to put yourselves first, damn it. I've had it. You've got to take care of yourselves. And the fact that JD could stand up there and somehow excuse his wife for having a lot of help to do her poor job as a working mother, instead of him doing something. Every time he speaks of his kids, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies because he never says anything affectionate about his children. I don't know if you noticed, but even last night, he did the dad thing, which was actually so awful, as he said, and you better be in bed. First of all, why wouldn't they want to be up watching their dad? Hello? And why would you say on national TV, you better be in bed? Why are you putting them down? Why are you putting Usha down? Usha down. I don't know how to say her name. Usha down. Why would you question her judgment right now, regardless of where the kids are? I'm for sure letting them be stay up to watch their dad. Like, this is a moment in history. Pray to God, your father's never going to be on that stage again. Let the kids watch. But that's a parenting decision. I'm not going to get in that. All I'm saying is that he is negative and he is commanding. And if you listen, it's condescending because he speaks down to us or speaks down to whoever he's talking to. He's educating you. Is that kind of speaking down? Let me just educate you. Let me just inform you on this. And the other thing is the contempt. Because if you've lived in his world and he's living in a very artificial world, he hasn't really had a job. He's done no legislation. If you look at his record as a senator, it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. He barely votes if he shows up to vote. He doesn't show up to vote. So this man, what he's done is he's hung out with the billionaire bros. They need to be called the end of the Republic bros, because I think Rachel made this really clear. If you look at last night's debate through the lens of JD Vance and Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, and for now, Trump, because he's on the Putin, like he's on that bandwagon because they got the money. He's going to hang out with whoever has the money, right? So if you look at what was said and you look at it through the lens of the Republic is dying, and Rachel talked about this the other day, and if you can go source it yourself, if you feel like Rachel's mainstream media and blah, 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 and you have a lot of rules that I call those limiting beliefs about the media. Some of them are good and some of them are bad, but you need to do your own research. That's where we are. Sorry. But if you look at that, the vision that these men have, these are really wealthy men, folks. They're very wealthy. Like, you don't even exist on their radar. You're in their way on their way to go places. Like, you're just the ants that are in their way, right? This is where they hang out. They sit around in circles and do whatever they do, expensive drugs. I don't know, women, all kinds of gross stuff that I wouldn't approve of in my personal world. But they go do their things and they talk about the end of the Republic. And they mean the end of America. They're planning the end of America. I want you to be clear here. They're not suggesting it's inevitable. They're actually mapping out how to get there. That's what Project 2025 is the end of democracy. It is the beginning of an authoritarian regime, which might sound comforting to you if you're 5. Sorry, anybody with a brain, anybody who can make a decision does not want an authoritarian model. You know why? Because you don't like Harrison Walz telling you what to do. That's the easiest way to figure out you don't like authoritarianism. If you don't like the libs telling you what to do, then you have a problem with authoritarianism. The problem is you only want to follow the person that you believe in, but that's not how authoritarianism works. They don't do what you believe in. They do what they believe in. So today you might agree with what the authority wants to do, but tomorrow you might not. We've watched this happen in policing. We all agreed to the norms of policing. You go out and build the community, you solve problems, you identify where we've got some risks building up, where we might see trouble brewing. That information used to be brought back, and people in the community, your leaders, would focus on those problems. They go, oh, we got kids hanging out by the drive-in. Okay, we got to look at that. Let's figure out a way to put that drive-in to work so it's not a place where kids will hang out. The problem is nobody ever says where the kids can hang out. That's a different problem. But you get what I mean? Like, the police is a good example where authoritarian model, because the police is pretty hierarchical. It tends to match a military. You have to take orders. I get it. But you're also encouraged in the old days as a cop to solve problems, to use your noggin, to be a peacekeeper. They were called peace officers, remember? Those were our norms. But what we've had happen, and I really do think it goes with two things. One is our hyper-militarization. Try saying that. Invisalign, you know, hypermilitarization, I can't say it again, hypermilitarization of the police. You get what I mean? We're making them like the military. And the other is that we've decided the police and the onslaught of guns has made our police have to be basically Wild West cowboys all the time because you don't know who has guns and what they're going to do with the guns. And I'll tell you the part of the guns that hasn't gotten connected yet, but it's going to, is you know that these GOP people are going to start connecting the guns to the evil immigrants who are here to take your houses, even though they can't qualify for a loan and they don't have a checking account. And I had to go through more hoops than God to buy a house. There's no way immigrants are buying houses, JD. I don't even think they're getting to rent the houses because you have to have ID to do that too. So that's a bunch of BS. But that's neither here nor there. Y'all can do your own research. I'm going to tell you to listen for the condescension, listen for the contempt, and then the misogyny, which was the last thing. So JD talking like my dad. They shut you down. They box you in. That's one of the tricks. You're a good lawyer. You box someone in, right? So they have nowhere to go. You can't make an argument because they box you in. That's a technique. Yeah, what are you going to do about it? It happens. But the other thing they do is then they imply that you are incompetent and you can't possibly make this judgment. So let me share just a minute. I'll get off this and show you what I did for today. I'm just going to take you straight to the blog because, and you're probably going to see this. You're not going to see me. I don't know if you can see me, but you're in here in the blog. And here's what I want to share with you right now. Look at all my, this is funny. Look at all my things. Here's what I want to show you. My big impression for this thing. If I were to talk about what happened at the debate, this is my Jen Carroll here. I even call it my analysis based on studying all the issues and what I do in messaging. This is also all the stuff I've done. So kind of the encapsulation of all the work I've done. You can go back and find the other podcasts about different issues. We've dug into some of them. But if you look at it just broadly, this is super meta, right? Macro. I tell you to have a macro view. Micro views make you blind to what's happening in the big picture, right? One of my foundational beliefs. You also need to have a macro view. In the macro view, the Republicans don't believe you are capable of making the decisions, and they want to make them for you. This is antithetical to Republicanism. It used to be Republicans said, keep everybody out of my business, but the Republicans now, and I'll tell you, it's really about the pivot to this Project 2025 authoritarian vision that these anti-republic, end of republic, let's call it end of republic, I'll be consistent. The end of republic oligarchs, including the American oligarchs, want America to be done. We slow them down, we cost them money, we give them regulations, we tell them they can't steal all our houses, we tell them they can't run the stock market, we tell them we're going to regulate crypto. We make a lot of rules that they don't like, and they can't be super oligarchs without oligarch power. So one of the ways to command a society is the authoritarian model, right? The authority makes the decisions. And right now, the Republicans, which is just mind-blowing to me, like, I guess just because of my history and how I grew up, but it's mind-blowing that they want pure authority, but that's what they're planning to do. The Democrats believe people are capable of making decisions, every one of us, and the problem is often access. So people need help faster. So the Democrats have identified, and this is, in looking at the work they've done, this is what I've really liked about what I've seen in these plans. I got excited, even more excited than I got about Biden. I kind of knew Biden was here to fix things and like let us catch our breath. Plus, we had January 6th to deal with and a bunch of other drama, right? So I like Biden. Biden just came in and got shit done. That's a good president as far as I'm concerned. What I think is interesting about Harris and Walz is they've gone back to what I'll call kind of that Kennedy aspirational view of the planet. And Obama had it too, although Obama was dealing with BS as well. He came into the recession caused by the housing disaster, the housing crash of 2008. But he still brought hope. And I feel like Kamala's brought some of that hope. It's kind of, I was too young for Kennedy, but I grew up in the Kennedy wake. Everything that Kennedy did, I grew up in that wake afterwards. And it was exciting. There was good stuff happening. And we were talking about real issues. And it used to be in America, we talk about these things. So if you think you're capable of making your own decisions, the Republican Party is not for you. The Republicans firmly believe, and Vance said it last night, or one of the people in the spin room said it afterwards, that the GOP right now is approaching this, and I'm going to tell you again, it's the end of republic, guys. Really want the government to run like a business, and they want the free market to decide. And if you can't afford it, you just need to work harder. That's brutal. That's just brutal. That's also that is a business model. Business model says love it or leave it. You can't work here, you can leave. I can make you leave anytime I want. We're all here for the company. If you don't work hard for this company, you're not going to be a winner. It's all about the company. The Democrats believe the government is not a business. That doesn't mean it doesn't have to have some accountability and some transparency, but it's not a business because it provides services that a free market would fundamentally destroy, ultimately would destroy. Things like healthcare, housing, groceries, mortgages, those things need to be available and accessible to the democracy, to the people. Citizenry of America should have access to healthcare, housing, groceries, mortgages, not based on a business model, but based on equity and accessibility. So that's what a government does, is it goes in and it says, oh, you're too short. Let's do something to help you be taller. Oh, you don't have all the resources you need, but you could definitely make the payments. Let's get you a $25,000 credit for your down payment. Those things are amazing. And it allows for equity, meaning where somebody else doesn't have all the resources or somebody else has too many, starts to make things equitable so that we all have access to these things. That's a lot of what's happening. That is absolutely not what the GOP wants. The GOP already has told you there's a class of citizen, a class of human being that doesn't even get to live, and that's immigrants. We have Trump now saying the purge, if we just do the purge, and he, by the way, that purge, that was not for immigrants. That purge was for anybody that the GOP thinks is bad. You know who the bad people are? The people in Chicago and Pittsburgh and Detroit. Are you getting it yet? The bad people are Black men. I just thought I'd do the math for you. I didn't want you to have to figure it out on your own. So the deal here is that, oh, and then MS-13, sorry, you can't even have a conversation without throwing in MS-13, who I freaking hate, and they need to die, but I'm not going to kill them. I'm going to put them in jail. They're going to go to jail. That's what we do in America, because we're humans. Anyway, what I'm saying is that you need to be clear that running the government like a business will not serve you well. So you need to decide, do you want your government to help citizens achieve the American dream, or do you want a government to become focused on profitability and who needs to be cut because they don't bring in enough revenue? There you go. The next big one is America doesn't need anyone or anything from anyone else. No other countries, no nothing. We can do it all here with Americans. Vance was on fire with that isolationist crap last night. He went so hard on, we can do it. We'll build our own energy. We'll build our own this. We'll build it. Then when Tim Walz says, we build the solar panels here in the United States, and JD didn't want to believe that. There's new energy right there. New energy is not bad. New energy is good. It makes jobs. It cleans up a lot of messes, and it means we might not have storms like what just happened in a whole quarter or a third practically of the United States, 6 states, but the amount of landmass that was hit, it's like a third of the country. Maybe it's a quarter of the country. Anyway, it's a lot. And there's another one coming, right? We're not even done. We're just starting. We're having cluster earthquakes out here that we haven't felt in a long time. They're kind of little right now, but whenever California zone, we start to get little clusters, there's something brewing. All right, let me give you the last one. Oh, I'm sorry. So isolationist is the way that the Republicans want to go. You do you, we'll do us. There you go. And you'll see that reflected in some of the answers below, which is I'm not reading. And then the Democrats believe that America needs to support other countries and protect our sovereign safety, but to have the other countries help buy our goods, help our supply chain, supplement labor. There's a lot of reasons we have relationships with our allies. It's part of its defense, but a lot of it has to do with the economy. So being an isolationist is not going to help us. And if I hear one more thing about tariffs, I'm going to smack somebody. Yes, put tariffs on the things that are coming in from other countries that we can get here, like that shine fashion, that what is it called? Fast fashion. Tariff the crap out of fast fashion. That's wasteful. It's just landfill. Let's face it. It's not well made. You wear it 3 times and you throw it out, or you give it to Goodwill, who, by the way, their profits are off the charts. Not a nonprofit. Did you know that? There's part of Goodwill that is, but not all of it. Anyway, I'm just saying something like fast fashion. Tear up the shit out of that. That'd be great. Tear up Temu. The whole reason Temu works the way it works is to avoid taxes, by the way. When they ship to you directly from another country, they don't have to pay any of the taxes they would normally have to pay as an importer. Do not shop at Temu. There's just one good reason. There's just one thing right there. You want to be pro-America? Don't buy from Temu. And that's a warning. It has nothing to do with the quality of merchandise you will get. The last thing is that the Republican Party absolutely does not want diversity. Like that word is a bad word to them. It cracks me up. They're so afraid of it. I'm convinced now in watching Trump and Stephen Miller and Corey Lewandowski and John McEntee and some of these other giant bad words, those people, giant dicks, okay, let's just call them that. They are out and all they want is people. They're basically white nationalists. And so the white supremacy is I feel like it's at like a 10. It's not at a 10. I know it can get worse. It feels like we're getting on the upper low. We're not in lower numbers anymore. We're getting into the upper numbers and it's bad. So the Republicans really see diversity meaning that as a bad thing. Diversity means people of color will live near you. They'll pilot your planes. They're going to work in the same place you work. And they're going to generally, and as they've said, rape, pillage, and steal your future. That's what people of color will do. And let's be clear, they're saying immigrants, but off camera, it's broadened to people of color. Chicago, Pittsburgh, Detroit. Get it? Philadelphia. You getting it? Are you getting it? Sorry, not Pittsburgh, it's Philadelphia, right? I don't know, one of them. Somewhere something bad is happening in one of those Pennsylvania places. I don't know what diversity. Okay, on the Democrats don't have a problem with diversity. In fact, we consider it our strength. I'm saying our because I love diversity. Once the border bill passes, I kept screaming at the TV last night, just pass the border bill. Why are we talking about it? Today, the Republicans should have come to work and passed the bill. They look like fools. They're just up there defending inaction just so they can all rant. Anyway, pass the border bill, focus on this is for you. And we can focus on assimilating white people into our diverse country and focus on America's future again. So if we can just assimilate white people into our diverse culture, we might have something. That's, I guess, going to be Mega 2.0. The assimilation. Oh my God, who's going to make that movie? All right, that's all I have for you today. What you're going to get in this blog, if you are so inclined, I'll just show you. I went through and took each one of the prompts from the journos or whatever they're called, the ladies, the women who don't ever wear hot pink against red and blue. Come on, that's just somebody screwed up there. Anyway, it talks about what happened at the debate, and then I just pulled out the RNC and the DNC actual position. So if you heard something last night, this is probably the easiest way. Everybody's talking and everybody's throwing around clips and everything on the internet. If you want to just really quickly run through it, maybe CBS has something like this. I didn't go use their source because I was kind of angry at them. But this is just, here was the issue. Here's what they said. But then here's what the position is of the party, because that's really what you need to know. And I don't think Walz did enough to explain the positions of the party, although it's hard when you're talking talking and debating with someone who's lying a lot. It's really hard to have your brain be able to do those segments. I know Kamala's brain can do that because that's a lawyer brain. You have to be able to compartmentalize, but I think Tim Walz as a teacher, and I know after running a preschool, you have a hot brain and you can't, it doesn't work siloed very well. It happens to me half the time. It happens to me when doing this podcast. I think of the next thing. So yeah, the hot brains, it's harder to debate when you have a hot brain because you think of all the things and then you can't get one thing out, because also everybody's told you, you're really hyper and extroverted. You need to kind of low key it. And I have a sign over my computer that says shut up, because I know I have to low key it sometimes. Like that's a thing. So I don't know what kind of personal management Tim Walz was doing at the beginning of the evening, but then he kind of fell into his skin and then he got there. But both of them did not really explain policy. So that's what's in the blog today. I hope you enjoyed the debate. Talk to me on Twitter. That's like my favorite place to talk. Just like tell me what you think, or give me some feedback, or tell me what you need to know about. I'm going to be traveling in a few days, so these podcasts are going to be wonky and weird from different places, but I'm still going to try to get them all done, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.